You are pardoned, sir.
All right.
You are
There's
pardoned.
that, and there's that. Everything's going according to plan.
Somehow.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Awesome Hardware, the live show that Kyle and I do every Tuesday evening, although we haven't done it for the past 2 weeks. So we're actually sort of getting things back together here. We're trying to make it like it used to be, like old times. Also, both of us are suffering from jet lag. Myself to a pretty significant extent at this point, actually.
Clunk.
And yeah,
And dead.
that Josh was just texting about the quality. Everything's fine.
You guys are horrible.
Everything is perfect.
You guys suck.
Cool.
Words of encouragement.
All right, so yeah, it is election night, but we're not talking about election stuff on the show. It's about technology and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's enough of that going around already.
If you missed the first half, it was on Kyle's channel, which is called Bitwit. So go watch that. It should be linked in the description, although I don't think I've updated that right now. I'll do it soon.
That's okay.
And we're going to start this half off with a quick announcement. For any of you guys who happen to be local here in the Southern California area, we're going to be having a meetup this weekend. It's going to be on Saturday, November 12th. We haven't told you exactly where it's going to be, but Los Angeles, Orange County area is kind of where we're aiming for. So
Yeah.
that's what you should expect. So if you're in that area, you should be able to attend. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday. So if you're around, keep an eye on our Twitters, my Twitter and Kyle's Twitter. We'll be tweeting some stuff out probably on Friday, the 11th, the day before. And we'll let you guys know exactly where it's going to be and bring cash.
We'll be selling stuff. It'll be kind of like a tech garage sale.
I was
In a way.
gonna say bring cash. I was gonna leave it at that. I was gonna be mysterious. Kyle's just
we're-
gotta tell you all the friggin' details.
We're selling.
Go to
we're
Kyle's
selling stuff
Go to Kyle's half of the
for
show,
like way more details.
where Kyle will tell you every possible thing you might need to know about this giveaway.
Just tell people what they want to hear.
Whereas
Man.
on my half, I leave it to mystery.
So cryptic.
Mainly because I'm literally falling asleep as I speak.
Let's see at what point during your half of the
Okay,
show I'll have to take over and just start hosting it
Yes, exactly.
According to this note that
All right.
Paul wrote down.
Real quick, guys, if you want to help support us and our channels and you want to buy some good quality merchandise, bitwit.tech/store is Kyle's store where he sells all these wonderful t-shirts and hoodies. Look at all of them and all of their gloriousness.
Yep.
My store is paulshardware.net or store.paulshardware.net where you can now buy some women's cut t-shirts. I got the thumbscrew and the zero insertion force for my 2 female viewers out there. That's for you guys.
There you go.
There might be 3 of you out there. According to Google Analytics, there's not very many female viewers, but hey, there's a few. So there you go.
Now I just feel sexist.
Merch
when I look
for
at
you.
my store.
Kyle sucks.
These are all for men.
Also got the thumbscrew organic cotton beanie, which is just the height of fashion for this winter. It is an embroidered logo there for the thumbscrew, and it's all sorts of fabulous, as well as all the other merchandise that you've come to know and love on my store.
Indeed.
Thank you for buying stuff, and we'll give you guys a shout out at the end of the show, provided we remember.
Yeah.
All right, that's all for announcements. Let's start with second half of the show, which always starts with news.
Yay,
Wait,
news!
Use the lower thirds for
Woo!
that, so you know
I'm
what we're talking
excited.
about.
I'm excited for this news.
All right, so next generation stuff coming from Intel. We've talked a little bit about Skylake-X and Kaby-Lake-X in the past. It seems more and more certain now that that is actually what it's going to be called. So this is the enthusiast platform, the not mainstream, what you would currently be on now if you were rocking like 1151, LGA1150, LGA1155. Those are the mainstream sockets.
Right.
These are the enthusiast sockets, which usually have more pins. To that end, this article, which is derived, it's a WCCF Tech article, which is derived from a benchlife.info article, as they so often are, in preparation for the 2017, this is translated from Chinese, by the way, Intel Skylake-X processors begin to send samples. So according to this, sampling has already begun.
Cool.
I don't have one.
No, I don't either.
I'm going to have to try to get one.
Yep.
But yeah, if this is true, then the high-end Skylake-X and Kaby-Lake-X processors will be launching in the second quarter of 2017, which to me means Computex. June. June is within the second quarter, and that is often when new launches happen. And hey, I'm never going to complain about some high-end desktop stuff being launched at Computex.
Nope.
But Bench Life goes on to give a few details about these processors at least. Both the Kaby-Lake-X and Skylake-X processor lines will be based on 14nm architecture, much like the Skylake and Kaby-Lake mainstream counterparts for either series. But Kaby-Lake-X, since it is the newer one, will feature a more optimized chip design. The Kaby-Lake-X has only 4 cores, K-series processors. So that's kind of interesting. So newer, more refined design, but only 4-core processors.
Do you think that's going to mean like a price point between Kaby Lake and Skylake-X?
I don't know. It certainly seems like kind of a meeting of the two of these, because normally the high-end desktop stuff from Intel is derived primarily from sort of a continuing alongside the like Xeon line. Like that's usually what it falls in line with, and like the desktop stuff, the mainstream stuff, it kind of does its own thing. Enthusiast stuff will usually, fall in line a little bit before, a little bit after the Xeon or the workstation counterparts for it. So, but I don't know. Right now, it seems like we might be seeing sort of a coming together, a confluence, if you will, emerging. A
bumping of uglies.
Like a sexual intercourse relating in some sort of freakish hybrid offspring.
Intercourse.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
Sex.
But Kaby-Lake-X 4-core processors with a 95-watt TDP, but being on this high-end desktop line, which is going to feature X299 chipset, the X299 chipset, and LGA2066 socket motherboards, which is all very new. Well, very, very new stuff. We haven't heard about that before. Anyway, though, continuing along with what the article reveals further here down below, Skylake-X, which seems is going to be more capable. I mean, if Skylake-X is what's going to have the multi-core processors and Kaby-Lake-X is going to have just quad-core, Skylake-X, although it won't be as refined, will have 140-watt TDP, 10, 8, and 6-core versions, as well as 3 other options. But the number of PCIe channels will be different. So Skylake-X PCIe 3.0 maximum channels will be 44. That is up 4. That's 4 more than what we currently have on Broadwell E. 44, but that's limited only to the 10-core version, which who knows?
I'm scared as to how much that's going to retail for.
Is it still going to cost $1,700?
What if it's like $2,500 now for like a 15%?
Is it just going to keep getting more expensive?
It's terrifying.
I don't know. But we're told there will also be an 8-core Skylake-X, although they were not able to determine the number of PCIe channels for that one. And then there's a 6-core Skylake-X which will have a maximum of 28 PCIe Gen 3 lanes. So
it's still pretty solid.
It does seem like they're continuing to use the PCI Express lanes to differentiate the chips in this line. But I thought there was a chart down here. Yeah, here's a chart. Anyway, the WCCF Tech article does have a chart down here that kind of lists what we know, at least as far as the leaks that have happened for Kaby-Lake-X and Skylake-X compared to Broadwell E. And yeah, I don't know, Kaby-Lake-X, it seems like an interesting position.
Yeah.
4 cores, 8 threads at max. But it will be faster, I would assume, on an instructions per clock level than the Skylake-X processors.
Yeah.
But Skylake-X is where you're going to get your big core counts, 10 core, 20 thread.
It's going to be great for workstation applications.
More
less than gaming.
More cache.
Yeah.
Actual full Gen 3 lanes. I mean, this is listing only 16 PCI Express Gen 3 lanes for Kaby-Lake-X, an i7 7000 series processor on this platform. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird positioning for that chip. And what we're probably really going to have to wait and see is how that's going to line up against like the Z270 and mainstream Kaby Lake stuff that's coming out. Because presumably there will be a 4-core, 8-thread like 7700K.
Yeah, right. So like, really, what's the difference with Skylake-X?
Yeah.
Is going to be a
I
huge
know,
question.
It's interesting, but
That's weird.
if they are launching at the same time, then it does kind of mean that Intel is at least sort of getting their platforms on the same numbering scheme. They haven't done that for quite a while. We'll have X299 for high-end desktop, and we'll have X270 or Z270 for mainstream desktop, and probably H270 and a few other variants like that as well.
Right.
Okay. Moving on to our next story. All right, so I retweeted a thing that Luke tweeted earlier this week, and it was about Nvidia and some of the stuff that they've been doing recently. Now, the original thing came from Reddit, PC Master Race article, which was talking about a major geeks revelation that Nvidia has begun doing telemetry and data collection through GeForce Experience, through the GeForce Experience utility. And this thread, which has 836 comments as of now, goes on for many a year and many a comments for people talking about various different things. Now, when I originally looked at this Reddit thread, I was a little offended, mainly because of some end-user license agreement stuff that was posted there that was in conflict one with the other, which has since fortunately been laid to rights and corrected a little bit. But nevertheless, I thought I would bring it up and discuss it here, because basically, what is telemetry? Telemetry is data collection and then sending that data to a server somewhere to collect it to have more information. Now, telemetry can collect a wide variety of data. It can collect non-personal data. It can collect personal data. And really, it's going to be up to the software to determine what is collected and where it's sent and that kind of thing, and whether or not it's encrypted. The complaints on the original Reddit thread were that now suddenly Nvidia has turned on this telemetry, this data collection in GeForce Experience. It's collecting user data. It's sending it willy-nilly over the internet and collecting information that really doesn't need to be collected, or it's collecting information that will then be gone and shared with like Nvidia marketing partners, so that you suddenly get new ad emails in your ad or something like that you didn't get before, or something like which honestly people got upset at, and I got a little upset at, and I was like, that's wrong and stupid. But as Steve Burke wrote in his article here, which is also linked in the description, this is a Gamers Nexus article. Steve, instead of getting mad, and as he reminded us all in the beginning of his article, a level-headed approach offers the best insight. Instead of getting mad, he contacted Nvidia. Just a smart thing to do. I actually got an email from Brian from Nvidia as well about this. And then he also went to the extra step of going and monitoring the GeForce Experience's packet in-out transactions using some software. What software did he use? I wrote it down here at some point. Wireshark is what they use to monitor packets. So I'm just going to run down my notes here, because that'll probably be the most same way to do this, since again I'm suffering from jet lag and I'm probably not being very coherent. But this recent Reddit thread blew up for its citation of a Major Geeks article that described Nvidia's driver package as spying on user data. This sparked users to dig up a French magazine, Canard PC's publication of Nvidia's updated privacy policy and end-user license agreement, which apparently focused on collection of system hardware information by GeForce Experience. GeForce Experience 3.0, which was just recently pushed last week, requires user account registration and also requires sign-in in order to fully deploy Shadowplay, which is a very popular utility for capturing user gameplay, especially stuff that was just happened 30 seconds ago. And it works really well. Now you need to sign in and provide your user credentials and stuff in order to use this. Now the complaints happened because the EU LA citation, the end user license agreement citation, at least the one that was posted on the original Reddit thread that was taken from the PC Master Race posters who posted that, is from a privacy policy which governs the Nvidia.com website, which is not the same as the end-user license agreement and privacy policy that governs the GeForce Experience application. So applying the one from the website to the application itself, what was written about the website is basically like, we can take your information and we can share it with our advertisers and do whatever the hell we want with it. Pretty much was what it said. Now, if you apply that to drivers, it's an egregious offense. If you apply it to GeForce Experience, it's crappy, but not quite as good. But honestly, this hasn't been applied to either. This is where I was misled by some of the statements in the actual original Reddit article, because I looked at both of those and said, well, obviously, they're saying two different things. And my opinion, based on working with large companies, would be like, well, whatever the best thing for the company is probably what they're going to default to. But honestly, that wasn't even true. Because again, they're taking something from the Nvidia.com website, which is if you sign up there for an account and for them to contact you about, we have these great deals from our partners or whatever, that kind of thing. That's what that EULA is applying to. Mm-hmm. The EULA that applies to the GeForce Experience, yes, does have some language in it that refers to the sharing of your information with Nvidia. But it is information that is necessary for GeForce Experience to do what it does, because GeForce Experience is all about looking at the hardware that you have installed on your system, cross-referencing that with a bunch of other different comparisons that it's done of performance of different video games on other people's systems, and giving you the best possible, at least as far as it can tell, settings for the different games you might be playing. In order to do that, yes, it needs to collect, and what is listed here in the article, the following information: the GPU specification and vendor, the GPU clock speeds and overclocks, monitor and display resolution, driver settings for specific games, such as G-Sync toggling and type of anti-aliasing used, resolution quality settings for specific games, games and applications that you have installed, which does seem kind of invasive, but they're trying to figure, they're like, you have these games, so here are the profiles we will give you for those games. That's part of what GeForce Experience does. Memory capacity, CPU specification, BIOS revision, and motherboard. None of this stuff is uniquely identifying to you. It's uniquely identifying to your computer, but it doesn't tell them exactly what you do. Now, granted, there's some other stuff that might be communicated, such as when you first sign up for GeForce Experience and that kind of thing. That remains to be seen. The end result here, the summary that Steve from Gamers Nexus came to, or the kind of end conclusion, and I agree with him, is that GeForce Experience is gathering the information it needs to do the job that it is intended to do, which is to give you settings for your games if you don't know what the settings should be, that should be good settings for your resolution and for your hardware and for the game you're playing.
Right.
It doesn't not seem to be taking personal information and sharing that with third parties. Nvidia, in their statements that they've delivered to Gamers Nexus here, and the email that they sent to me as well, was like, we don't do that. We're not trying to get your email address and share it with a bunch of marketing partners so you'll start to get
so basically they're not Windows 10. They're not doing what Microsoft was getting so much flack
from what they have said.
Yeah.
From what Gamers Nexus has reported on and what they've done in their testing, and from several other tests that have been done by some other people that have been reported on this thread and elsewhere, yeah, they seem to be, for the most part, on the up and up. That said, if Nvidia was doing something like this, I think the reaction would be perfectly well warranted and reasonable, because we pay Nvidia for graphics cards. We have a reasonable expectation that they will provide drivers for the graphics cards that will help them to work with whatever operating system we're doing. We're not using their service like we might say an Android on a smartphone or Chrome or Google. We're not getting free stuff from that we're not really paying much for up front. If Nvidia started to do that sort of thing, yes, we would be very well warranted in getting mad at them. And I think it's worth keeping an eye on what information is being sent back and forth by these applications, and especially by just the base level driver. Yes, we should be keeping an eye on that and holding Nvidia to a certain standard. But overall, this drama, at least of the past few days, does seem quite blown out of proportion as far as what is actually being done with the drivers. And yeah, I think there should be some pushback against requiring registration with the email address and everything. But as long as they're not, taking that information and putting you on a mailing list or something like that.
Trying to sell ads to your face.
Or trying to sell ads to your face. Really what the back and forth is doing is mainly doing stuff like getting GameBox ad art for the GeForce installer. Shows a little ad for whatever the latest game is as it's installing the GeForce driver. So it's like, this driver works really good with this game, that kind of thing.
I think the main difference is that they're actually, the data that they're collecting is used for the intent of helping you as a gamer, right? Like you said, it's the intent of what the application is trying to do, which is provide the best gaming experience for someone who might not be ready to just jump into the game settings and just be able to know, all right, which settings do I need to use? Like, am I on ultra? Am I on medium? Do I use anti-aliasing? That sort of thing. Like, it needs to collect certain amounts of data in order to provide the best experience for you. If you can do that stuff yourself and you're not comfortable with the data that they're currently collecting, then just don't enable GFE. Just uninstall it, or just don't use it. Don't have it run on startup. But if you are expecting those sorts of services from Nvidia, you can't expect them to provide those types of services without collecting some kind of data in order to best serve you. So it's kind of like, well, what do you expect from them? And you can't expect them to work miracles if you don't give some of your data in return. And it seems like from what this article is saying and from what the research that Steve has done at Gamers Nexus, it doesn't seem like it's anything super invasive of your privacy. It's more so facts or analytics of your personal computer that don't really tie back to you as a person, but more so of your settings as an admin or a user.
Yes.
Right? So.
And
I can dig that.
If you're really super paranoid, the Reddit thread that's linked in the description does go through the instructions for turning off the telemetry communication back to Nvidia, so you can do that too. But yeah, I do think it's worth keeping an eye on to make sure that nothing ever changes that starts communicating more information than what we would like shared. But you can't have an application that does what GeForce Experience does without doing that. Yeah, I guess, to put it simply. Anyway. All right.
Well said.
Next story is from The Verge.
YouTube adds HDR video support.
Yeah, so YouTube now has HDR video. In their continuing efforts to stay at the forefront of streaming and display technology so that they can stay competitive against other video options like Netflix and Amazon, YouTube now has HDR support. So whereas folks who got like a 4K TV back when 4K TVs weren't really a thing, and then they were like, how can I find content? And YouTube was one of the first people to say, here is your 4K content. And then the same thing they did with like 360 video and that kind of thing. Now HDR, high dynamic range video, will now be supported. There's not very much source HDR material right now, but this will allow screens with the right hardware to display a more accurate and realistic range of whites and blacks, as well as a wider range of colors. And then this is a big selling point for new TVs. I know I'm kind of looking for a 4K TV right now, and HDR support is definitely something that I have in mind. It's a key benefit touted by Microsoft and Sony as well for the latest version of the Xbox One S and the PlayStation 4 Pro. And also very capable for something like a high-end graphics card to do. I don't know why The Verge left that out of here. They're like, to view any of this content right now, you gotta have a new Chromecast Ultra, or you gotta have an HDR Blu-ray player, or you gotta have the Xbox One S. Excuse me, The Verge.
Or a Pascal,
or
an AMD current gen card.
Any current generation graphics card, which includes HDR support and stuff like support for
Codecs.
DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.0A. Yeah. So if you're like, for instance, right now, if you're playing a video game like right now, what's your favorite video game that you're playing right now, Kyle?
Probably H1Z1.
I don't know if that one counts. Anyway.
Wow. Way to devalue my preferences as a PC gamer, Paul.
So
I feel really appreciated by you right now.
I just don't know. I don't want to say that.
I don't want to hear it. I want to hear it. Just carry on with your stupid story.
I'm trying to carry on. You're cutting me off.
Fuck you.
Yep. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
So, your graphics card or whatever your display source is will actually dummy down your signal. It will go to standard dynamic range signal as it's outputting whatever it is it's outputting. Depending on what your display source is, of course, but like a lot of games, they can render an HDR just fine. It just needs to say like, oh, I'm connected to an HDR display. Oh, well, don't take that color range and squeeze it down to that much before it outputs the signal.
Let it all fly.
Yeah, you just output the full HDR signal. So yeah, for video games in particular, you could probably have support for this right off the bat, but nice to be able to take HDR video, since I'm sure there's going to be lots of like really high-end cameras with HDR support and everything that are giving good source material for that, and playing it back on
Great.
YouTube.
Now we have to replace all of our
That's cool
cameras
too.
with HDR cameras.
Yeah, very soon.
Lovely.
Why am I on the games report? That wasn't even intentional. Okay, Gigabyte's gonna be making Aorus motherboards and graphics cards, according to this article on DigiTimes. Kyle briefly mentioned this on his half of the show.
He did.
Although his article was from Hexus.net, and there's no pictures here, so I'm just gonna turn that off. Anyway, did you guys know that that Aorus is owned by Gigabyte?
I did.
I knew that too. They don't like to advertise it that much, but yeah,
They don't.
Aorus is kind of a sub brand of Gigabyte. It's mainly been used to release motherboards and
Laptops.
No, I'm sorry. Gaming notebooks, mice, and keyboards, as well as some other peripherals, have been released under the Aorus line. Really nice gaming laptops, for sure.
Yep.
They've had some really cool options there, as well as some innovative type stuff. What they're trying to do here is create a product line that is going to sort of match up against like the Asus premium gaming and motherboard and PC gaming line, namely ROG or ROG Strix. So I feel like this is kind of like what Gigabyte was trying to do with their Extreme gaming series that they've launched in the past generation or two. But now they will have like Aorus. It won't even say Gigabyte. Maybe they'll have like a little Gigabyte logo on the box or something. It'll be like the Aorus Z270 Gaming 5. I don't know what the hell they'll call the actual graphics card or motherboard. But yeah, Aorus, I would assume Z270, and if we're going with the other rumors from this this live stream, I'm really starting to fade. It's okay. Z270 as well as X299 motherboards I'm sure will be available from this Aorus line, as well as high-end graphics cards. So instead of your Gigabyte highest-end graphics card, you can buy a Gigabyte mainstream graphics card, or like your highest-end, like your 1080 Ti Aorus, like Sex Edition with triple X.
Sex edition.
Yeah.
That would sell because sex sells.
Sex does sell.
I wonder if that means Gigabyte would no longer produce high-end graphics cards, or if they would sort of compete in that same market as Aorus, like where they both have their flagship GPUs, or if they leave that to like the high-end stuff.
I don't know. I mean, if you look at
Asus,
if you look at
goes back to
Asus,
yeah.
you can buy an Asus GTX 1080 that is not an ROG or a Strix product.
Yeah.
And it's still a 1080, and it's probably
Overclocked, and
whatever the heck it can do, but it's not like the best they could possibly do.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So that's probably what they're gonna do.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm imagining there's still gonna be a lineup of Gigabyte motherboards as well.
Yep.
But there, my guess here would be there's not gonna be a Gigabyte X299 $500 motherboard now. That will be an Aorus product.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, whatever's hot, that's what they'll do.
It's kind of exciting in a way. I mean, it's still from Gigabyte at its core, but it's kind of cool to see a different brand
It's very
pushing
exciting.
out like flagship level products like motherboards and especially graphics cards. I think could be refreshing. Could be cool. I hope Aorus has kind of its own unique and diverse sort of style and aesthetic apart from Gigabyte. Kind of like how ROG has their own separate look from the regular Asus line of things. I think that would be pretty cool.
I would say the work that they've done with Aorus so far is promising. So taking that and applying it to graphics cards and motherboards seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the next segment, which is Tales from Space. Because I saw some articles about space this week, and I was like, those are interesting. So this is as close as I'm going to get to election coverage here, but did you know that if you didn't vote you really have no excuse because there's astronauts that voted from frickin' space.
Nice.
I voted. I have a sticker. I don't know if you guys.
It's even in a different
sticker right there.
several different languages.
Yeah, several different languages. Because, you know, it's Los Angeles County, so there's a wide variety of languages spoken there.
I see Chinatown. I see
There's Filipino on there, I think.
I see the East LA.
Bumoto ako.
That's the
Yeah,
that's the American
that's
American
Thai.
American Taurus.
Yeah, so anyway, you shouldn't feel bad if you didn't vote.
I didn't vote.
I was alluding to that kind of.
I have sort of an excuse that I'm not gonna get into,
Alright, that's fine.
but yes.
But the astronauts even voted from the frickin' space station, believe it or not. This is all thanks to a bill passed by Texas legislatures in 1997 that puts a technical voting procedure in place for astronauts. It's the Texas legislature because astronauts are often from Texas. I don't know.
Really?
That's just how that works out.
I didn't know
Well, that's
that.
where they
Is that where
have
Neil
launch pads
Armstrong's from? He's the only
I-
astronaut I really know and respect.
Buzz Aldrin.
Nope. Nope. See? Nope.
All right, there's plenty of others as well.
Nope.
Anyway,
they're all-
in
they're all
order to
dead
vote
me.
in space, the astronauts need to provide. No, a year before they launch, they select which elections they will participate in, the local, state, or federal. And then 6 months before the election, they're provided with the voter registration and absentee ballot request. So they basically file an absentee ballot. And the first time this was done was the same year it was first implemented, implemented, which was 1997. So you can vote. You can vote in space.
Vote from space.
Isn't that fun?
If they can do it from space, I can certainly do it from Earth.
You're right. You'd think you'd have a better excuse than
Fuck you.
one you gave.
Fuck you, I do.
All right. We talk a lot about SpaceX during Tales from Space, and the Falcon 9 rocket explosion that happened several months back was definitely a bit of a nail biter, a bit of a whodunit. There's lots of speculation. They seem to have now finally decided what actually caused this problem. And it was caused by AIDS. No, not by AIDS.
Oh.
It was caused by an ultra-cold oxygen reaction with the carbon fiber in the fuel tank.
That was my second guess.
I know.
It's AIDS and then that.
Of course, as we all know, oxygen freezes in its gaseous state at minus 218.79 degrees Celsius.
It's gassy.
And as the rocket was being loaded with oxygen, SpaceX mixes the oxygen with liquid kerosene, and they did it too fast, basically, which caused it to freeze, and then that apparently led to that huge explosion that you just saw. Anyway, SpaceX launches could restart before the beginning of 2017. I have mainly heard, SpaceX was before the beginning of 2017. That means, maybe the end of 2016. Realistic expectations seem to point more towards probably the beginning of 2017, so maybe Q1 2017. We'll see the Falcon 9 fly once again.
Sweet.
Caw-caw.
Go!
That's the sound that the Falcon 9 makes.
Go!
Alright. The James Webb Space Telescope is the most badass telescope that you will ever probably know, unless you live more than 20 years or so.
I have.
The final Sunshield layer has been completed for it, and everyone should be excited. Look at that.
I'm stoked.
Those do not just look like basic sheets of tinfoil, and I'm surely they are not. For this picture is from Northrop Grumman's Space Park facility in Redondo Beach, California, where the last 5 Sunshield layers responsible for protecting the optics and instruments of NASA's James Webb Space Telescope is now complete.
Okay.
What you're looking at here is about the size of a tennis court.
Really?
Yeah, these sheets right here.
That's a tennis court size?
Yeah, a tennis court.
No.
You could beat me at face-off all over again.
See, I thought that was
on
the
the
size of
tennis courts right
maybe
here.
a quarter of a tennis court. They need
No.
a banana for scale.
But look at this picture here. That should see. Look at the dudes
what is that? That
look
looks
at
way
the
different,
dudes
though.
down here,
That looks way different.
and look how big the freaking thing is.
But that's what it.
Look at this.
what
It's
is
like
that-
a honeycomb.
How does that relate to
There's
the tennis court?
giant bees that must come to pollinate this, and they
Still-
probably eat these dudes down here.
It's like pin the tail on the flower.
as for to
To feed and to,
yes, they feed on them.
and to breed and.
Anyway, I just messed this up. So this is the size of a tennis court, is what I'm trying to say. It will make it possible for the James Webb Space Telescope to image the formation of stars and galaxies created more than 13.5 billion years ago. You don't even care. You don't care. You don't care about this.
I'm yawning at that.
You don't care about the future of technology.
Fucking space,
and
bro.
Science.
Space.
This will prevent the background heat
Gives
from
a
the sun
shit.
from interfering with the telescope's infrared sensors.
No,
I'll
I
have
think space
you know.
is super awesome.
I will have you know.
I know now.
And
you.
going back to this tinfoil shit up here, right there.
Did you go play
5
tennis on it?
Sunshield membrane layers designed and manufactured by the Nizolve Corporation in Huntsville, Alabama. These are each as thin as a human hair.
What?
It's really
they don't look
thin.
it.
Yeah, no, but that's because they're crumpled at the edges. It gives the illusion of thickness.
That is a human hair.
They will fold origami style into the Ariane 5 rocket. And then these will, of course, be delivered up to the James Webb Telescope, the world's next generation space observatory.
What do they mean origami style? Like it'll
and
be a
successor
crane?
to the Hubble telescope.
Like it'll be folded into a crane?
Well,
or like
they're
like
the
a star?
thickness of a human hair. It's got to be able to collapse into a fairly compact package.
What do they mean
in order to be
origami style?
shot up into space.
Origami style is like, look at this lotus. It's gonna be like folded up into a lotus.
I folded a lotus flower when I was in Taiwan, in Thailand.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they give you like the paper and like in the instructions on how to fold it?
No, it was in Bangkok.
Okay.
We went to the
Did
flower
you
market.
just
We
know
went
how
to
to
the
do
flower
that?
market.
You just know how to do that?
Did you go to the flower market when you were in Bangkok?
I think we missed the
It's
flower
open
market.
24 hours.
Flowers?
24 hours a day you can go there and wholesale buy flowers. And that's where like all of the major hotels in the area go. And like they buy flowers. So like all the little like did you ever get any of those flower necklaces they had? Looked like the little white ones. Or like the lotus flowers with the folded flowers and stuff like that.
Nope.
You
I feel like my Thai experience was
you
so
didn't truly
deprived.
experience Thailand.
Clearly not. Who needs flowers at 3 in the morning though?
Hotels.
No.
Obviously.
No, they don't. I've never walked into a hotel at 3 a.m. and be like, where the fuck are the flowers?
Speaking of where the fuck are the flowers, today's episode is brought to you by Fractal Design.
Nice transition.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Fractal Design,
Seamless.
maker of high quality and sexy cases.
Cases.
They also do power supplies, case fans, water cooling accessories, and
They have a new case that's out right now, which is the
Indeed they
Define
do.
C Mini. Or Define Mini C, I should say.
Well, it's
available.
the Define C series available in mini
ATX.
as micro ATX, as well as just the standard Define C, which is
But-
full size
but
ATX.
I like the
as you
micro
can see right
ATX
here.
better.
Well, Kyle and I both have hands-on experience with the micro ATX version, so we encourage you guys to check out those videos if you haven't already.
At PDX Land this weekend, over the last weekend, Fractal Josh was sitting right next to me, and he actually had brought a Define Mini C with him, which had which was loaded up pretty nicely. It had a Kelvin 240 radiator in there, as well as a GTX 980 Ti, I believe. And he was he had a better setup than me, which kind of made me jealous. But it's a nice looking case. Paul and I have both done reviews on it on our channels. You can go check those out if you want our personal opinions. Like, yeah, it's just an ad. How impossible for them to say anything good about this thing and be genuine. Check out our reviews, because I think you'll find that they're fairly favorable. I like this case a lot.
Lots of space for cable management, some good areas to tuck away, some mechanical drives if you're doing 3.5 inches, as Kyle is demonstrating right there, as well as the
oh yeah, I was like, why is that hand so familiar?
2.5 inch drives, which are also up there. You can do 3 back behind the motherboard tray.
What a great video this is that you're viewing right now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you some coverage.
Because I know I need it.
Of course, in my video, I fully utilized the micro ATX form factor by installing not just a graphics card, but also a TV tuner card.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Seaton Infinite TV, just to show more practical demonstration.
You didn't have a sexy time lapse of the cable management though, did you?
No,
Did
I
ya?
mean, I didn't think that was really necessary.
Yeah, well, it's fucking awesome.
I thought that would have been stupid.
Guys, if you want more information on either of these cases, we do have links in both of our video descriptions on YouTube.
Yes, indeed.
Or you can, if you're on Twitch, you can just go ahead and check out our YouTube channels. You'll find the reviews there. They're pretty recently posted.
All right. Groovy. Good times.
Grooves.
Thank you, Cell. Thank you, Cell, for being here, for modding, for posting links in chat. You are freaking awesome. All right.
Cell's the best.
Let's move right along with the next segment, which is Sword Fight. Now, Sword Fight is where Kyle and I take up arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
Stop quoting Shakespeare.
I don't know where that came from. But yeah, the point is, we're going to argue about some shit. Usually, I have a couple questions, but this week I just have one. Because I thought it was poignant and important, and something that all of us really deserve an answer to.
Yep.
Given that tonight is a night of great import, especially here in the U.S. of A., I thought I'd ask this very basic question.
Which is?
Are we doomed?
Are we doomed? Like, just, are we doomed for life? Are we doomed? Just...
Yeah, just are we doomed?
We're doomed.
The best...
We are doomed and damned.
Posting that in
all that is
chat
awful.
right now so you guys can answer as well. So, are we doomed? Yes, chaos has descended and the world will soon be consumed in the fires of oblivion. No, though mankind may stumble, we will always persevere through trials to forge a better tomorrow.
Oh boy.
And then, of course, that other option, but we can't
There
choose
should
that.
always be a third option.
There should always be a third option.
I'll let you go first.
It's for you Bernie Sanders fans out there. All right, since we only have this one question, and because I believe not just in you and me,
But us.
but in all of us together, I will say no. No, we are not doomed, Kyle. We are not doomed. Because though the night may be dark, and though we may face what may seem like insurmountable odds, I believe truly that we can come together as a people, and that, you know, my grandma always said that a stick in a bundle won't break, right? It's because I watched a movie on an airplane, and that quote was on there, and they said that quote.
So your grandma didn't really say that.
No,
You're totally bullshitting.
It's a fake grandma,
I
but
was-
that removes nothing from the sentiment at all.
Sure does.
Which is that, you know, if we come together, you know, mankind historically, if you look back, right, look at how we live right now, right? We're doing okay. We're not doing bad. Certainly there are things in the past that were great problems that we have overcome to now live a better life than we did before. And you know, everything's not perfect, but people ultimately will work together to make a better life for themselves.
Mass shootings are at an all-time high, Paul. in case you
I'm
haven't
not
heard.
done yet. I'm not finished. And that is why we are not doomed. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to...
Whatever he says next.
This is our Independence Day.
So is that the movie you watched on the plane? Where you're just like, I'm going to quote that for awesome hardware.
It was a long flight, and I was slightly delirious. I watched many planes.
God.
I watched many movies. Hey, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. We're all fucked. Chaos has descended upon the world, and it shall be
We're
consumed
doomed.
in the fires of oblivion.
We are doomed.
Doesn't matter who you vote for, guys. This country is screwed. And, you know, they say the lesser of two evils. You vote for the one you think is going to be the less shitty one.
This isn't specific to the country. This is everything.
This is just everything.
Yeah.
Okay. We're still fucked. We are destined as a race to fail. There has never been a race in all of existence that has made it. You look at prehistoric times, whether you're talking the fucking dinosaurs or whatever other species existed before that, and nature is just out to wipe us all out. It's out to get us. It does not care what we like or what we love or how we are as people. It's just an ever-evolving thing that will eventually fuck us all over. We are here for a split second in the universe, and then we're gone. Whatever it is, whether it be a massive wipeout from a catastrophic natural disaster, or one of the presidents being elected, it doesn't matter. We are doomed. Our days are numbered. We have a fucking clock on all of our heads, and we are fucked. It's just the nature of the world. No species has ever lived forever. It's life. You begin, you start, you live, you're born, you live it, and then you die. So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's best that you figure this out early on in life, because it's not going to get easier. And the longer you keep living this lie that you tell yourself that everything's going to be okay, the harder the fall and the crash is going to be when fucking fate knocks on your door one day and rails you in the ass. Merry Christmas. To all of you, though, who celebrate it. I'll be there.
Message of hope.
Message of hope. It's a complimentary sandwich. As best as I can do. Sorry.
Let's see what you guys thought. Are we doomed? Results.
I'm bad, and I should feel bad.
Ah, fuck.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Whoa! It seems like most of you agree with, which I was hoping would be the opposite of the case.
Wow.
I was hoping that you weren't all that pessimistic.
More than no.
More than double of the other two.
More than no and the third party option combined.
Which I thought the third option would have a good chance.
Should always. Pardon me.
Jesus.
Should always have a third party option. Well. Alright, so on that note.
Merry Christmas, motherfuckers.
Let's slip gently into the Q&A section where we will theoretically answer a few questions that you guys might have for us before we all go and dig ourselves an early grave, apparently.
And for the record, that's not how I personally feel. I was just trying to win the argument.
No, you did did your job all too well, Kyle.
Okay, yeah.
All too well.
That's what I was afraid of.
All right,
questions.
So, questions. We'll have a few
in chat.
here. We will also briefly, if we have any at least, do some Johnson shoutouts. I don't think I got any though.
I don't think so either. I got one.
It's fine.
I got one.
Yay.
Carl. Not Kyle.
Carl.
That's the number one thing that I get usually when I tell people on the phone. Your name, please, Kyle. Carl? No, I didn't say Carl. I said Kyle.
It's a cat.
Carl. I'm sure you probably get the opposite. People are like Kyle. And you're like, no, it's Carl. Thank you very much for picking up a CPU Cooler shirt. Johnson to you, brother. Appreciate that. But that's all I have for me on my end.
Mine's not refreshing. So
Jay Techman says I should go smoke a Debbie.
Wait, there was a question that I thought we could answer just a moment ago. Where did it go? Yeah. H1 here. Gibson DK asks, H110 motherboard with RAM at 3000 megahertz works? Question mark. No, I'm sorry, Gibson DK. 3000 megahertz is qualified as an overclocked memory speed by Intel, so the only speeds you'll be able to get with an H110 motherboard are the ones that are qualified as not overclocked speeds, which basically means 2133 or sometimes 2400 depending on the actual CPU that you're using.
Right.
So yeah, sorry about that. What's the best way to connect the GTX 1050 to a VGA only monitor? Can you even do that? Did the 1050 even include an analog out?
You'd probably have to get an adapter. No, it didn't. You'd have to get an adapter.
You wouldn't. If it doesn't have analog out, yeah, I mean, you're screwed. If you buy a new monitor, you should not be using... If you really buy a
getting
new
that card.
monitor. Like
Yeah.
any VGA only monitor is going to be really just
Crappy.
I mean, unless you're like an old school CRT monitor person, and then yes, I can see some of the benefits that people get from using like the old, really high-end CRT monitors.
Right.
There's reasons to do that, but if you're using a VGA, like older LCD, like it's not. Get a new monitor.
Spend $150 or even $100.
Spend $100.
$100
Costco
on a 1080 panel.
Costco has a
HDMI.
24-inch. Costco has a 24-inch LED LG 5 millisecond monitor for $100 right now. I just saw it in my Costco ad. I'm not affiliated with Costco,
Who do you work for?
but I was like, I'm kind
Who
of
do you work for?
I kind of want to buy that for my parents because they have an old like 3x3 monitor,
Ooh.
and I keep like upgrading their computer, and then I go over there and I'm like, you're still on a crappy old monitor. I'm like, Dad, buy a new monitor. He's like, oh yeah, sure. And I'm like, no, he won't.
No.
As long as that existing monitor works, he will not buy a new one.
I think all parents are the same. Mine are the same way. I'm like, there's something way
he's
better
like,
you should
it's-
get.
it's fine.
No, it's fine.
Like,
It's 10 inches. What more do you need?
It's like a 17-inch,
No, Dad.
3/4, like,
Dad, stop.
oh, it's awful. It's
You
all
can't even-
it's all fuzzy. Anyway,
The start button takes up a quarter of the screen.
Trayton asks, how drunk are you right now? It's really not.
It's hard to tell.
I'm kind of drunk. I mean, I've
It's
been
hard to
drinking,
tell.
but really, it's mainly the jet lag.
Yeah.
I am loopy due to
It's
the
the same
due
for
to
me,
the jet
actually.
lag. I would like to just put my head down and fall asleep right now.
Yep.
That would be glorious. That would be absolutely glorious. Yeah, get an LCD with DVI or HDMI or just some kind of digital connection. All right.
1080 or 1070 for 1440p. Definitely 1070. That can handle it, no problem.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day I was rocking a GTX 970 overclocked and gaming on my QNX 2.7 panel, no problem, which was a 2560 by 1440. Playing at GTA 5, max settings, more or less, getting 50 to 60, 65 FPS on average. So 1070 should be fine for 1440, to be honest. Save yourself some money. You do not need the 1080.
Giraffe 2012 asks, best Ultrabook really thin laptop for under $350?
Ooh.
I don't think,
Ultrabook
I
for
don't think,
350?
I don't think that exists.
Yeah, Ultrabook, you have to meet certain requirements to
Yeah.
be considered an Ultrabook. Like, it has to be, like, super thin, like, under 0.08
The
inches.
smaller and thinner and lighter that
yeah.
laptops get, the more expensive they get.
Yeah,
so.
because they gotta spend more R&D to actually cram all that hardware inside of a super slim form factor. So I don't think that's possible. If you need something that slim on that price point, maybe look at a Chromebook or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patrick Horgan asks, Kyle, why didn't you vote? It's 'cause
What do you think?
It's because you were jet lagged.
Well, do you think I should? There's no. Do you think there's any backlash of me explaining why, or
Backlash?
like, do you think it's a bad idea, or should I keep that hush?
I mean,
for
are you
now?
going to be talking about who you would have voted for, that kind of thing?
No.
We're trying to be nonpartisan in this episode.
No, I wouldn't talk about who I'd vote for. I'm just like, remember like the whole thing that happened. Been going through some shit as of late.
What happened?
Fucking.
No, I forgot. Oh, that shit. Yeah.
Do you think maybe wait till that gets ironed out a little bit?
Yeah, wait till that gets out.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, so I mean, you can allude to that without saying specifically. I mean, there was some other shit that went down today that required your attention.
Yeah, some things that
okay.
affected just the channel in general, which I was not expecting. It came out of left field and totally...
He's illegal.
What?
I got a citizen. I'm supposed to be in Colombia. They're looking for me now. They think I assassinated the president.
Yeah, there was some shit that went down that was pretty harsh on the channel. I won't get into specifics right now until it's more ironed out, until I have a better picture of actually what's going on, but some really heinous things that came up that just kind of prevented me from being able to go out there and vote, that really needed. It was an emergency type of situation where I just needed to take care of that first before I could do things. And yeah, I've forfeited my civic duty and ability and privilege to vote. Something that our country has worked very hard for is that freedom. So I do feel bad, and yeah, but you know, shit happens. Shit happens, and I think you know, California has made its choice already. I think it's made a decent choice, and I am not going to oppose it too much. So yeah, I will be able to sleep well at night, and I'm not going to go into it any further than that. But
okay.
Yep.
That said, I think it is a good enough time to end this week's episode of Awesome Hardware.
Yep.
Sorry if this week's episode has been a little bit off kilter. Again, both of us are suffering from jet lag to some degree, and right about when the show happens is right about when the time it usually hits. At least if you're coming from the east back to the west, from like Asia back to California or U.S. Yeah, it can be rough at that time.
Indeed.
Anyway, though, once again, guys, if you're in the area, keep an eye out on our Twitters for later this week, and we'll be talking about when we're gonna have where we're gonna have the get together, the fan meetup on Saturday.
Yeah.
Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. More videos coming later this week.
Yep. And probably no after party tonight, just because
no after party.
We're still very jet lagged, and I still have some stuff to do when I get home. I don't want to make any promises, so it's probably unlikely that we'll have an after party. In the rare event that we do, you can follow us on Twitter for updates and stuff.
There's a decent chance I will be passing out within the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure when I get home, Wifey Sauce will slap me around. Like,
Just like that.
No. She won't do that. But
exactly.
Yeah, don't count on it for this week. But
okay.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.
Love you.
We'll be back next week with more awesome hardware.